Hey guys, it's Steven. Got a Bytes chart update for you here. We left off on the 13th, and basically since then we've just been doing a little sideways chop here. And what's kind of interesting is that it just doesn't look like there's much action here. But when you think about it, you got $3 all the way down to $2. So a 33% drop and a 50% upside. So there's definitely a lot of volatility here, but what is kind of deceiving about this as well is that there's just not that much liquidity. If you look at the liquidity, 180 bytes, that's only like $3 to move the price like 2%. So although there is some volatility and some upside in this chart here, the liquidity and exit liquidity and entrance liquidity, like slippage, there's definitely some things to to be considered there. So, as far as a strategy, you can always use like a basically my strategy, which is creating pools, liquidity pools, and then you can enter and exit with liquidity pools without having any slippage, and then you can also earn some fees on top of that. We are kind of sideways. Something to note, the previous week we had this big bear move in the overall market, which brought Bytes down to its second support. So I don't have all the previous ones, but we usually don't get too volatile. So we went all the way down to the second support. And then we came up to the first support and it actually acted as resistance. So support became resistance. So obviously that was pretty bearish. And what's interesting too is that when I calculated the pivots for this week, this previous support then became the central pivot, which is a bull bear pivot, which ended up becoming resistance. So pretty interesting how that all worked out. And on the downside here, you can see we actually did touch this first support for the week at about 202. And although this does play out well to the pivots, I think the main factor and the reason why we came down here and just kind of stopped is if you look at the liquidity pool, where this kind of the liquidity kind of drops off a little bit here by about 30 something percent. This is basically the bottom of that wick there. So somebody is definitely watching the liquidity pool, I think, and whoever's selling, they're doing it meticulously, right? If you notice that anytime we get some buys, we're getting some sells here. So kind of interesting how that's happening. And what's the overall move on that? What's going on? So I haven't really been updating the Bytes holder chart too much, but it's been about 16 days since I updated it, and only 31 new holders over the past 16 days, which I guess isn't really too bad. But generally, what this means is our community isn't necessarily growing that big right now, right? There's no real utility for Bytes. There's no reason for outsiders to be coming in and buying Bytes other than speculation. So what's happening essentially is just people within the community are selling to each other, right? So you've got the inpatient selling to the patient. So that's basically it. The supply change over the last 16 days, has gone up 53,000, which really isn't that much, which is kind of playing into another theory of mine, which is as the value of the bytes goes down, the less likely people are going to even spend the gas to claim those bytes. So the bytes are just kind of sitting idle and just kind of it's just going to take a little bit longer for the people who are selling to kind of accumulate enough bytes to make it even worth claiming and then selling those bytes. So kind of similar to the week before here, this took about 2 weeks for this to move lower. And I guess maybe the similar type of thing is happening here where maybe we're just accumulating and then we'll get another move lower. So, on the downside, what's the bear case here? The market cap over the past couple weeks here basically got cut in half. It could happen again where we go from a 1.3 million. Maybe we go, my target personally, I think maybe 800,000 dollar market cap isn't out of the question. So that would be a really nice place to buy, but who knows, right? So who knows if we'll get a catalyst, some Bytes 2.0, some utility coming out. And, really that's what drives Bytes. It's not necessarily the charts. This is nice to kind of make strategy and kind of calculate your risk reward. But really what drives Bytes is just these burning events and these catalysts that'll just basically come out of nowhere. And that's when you can see like huge moves, like, 100% move from here is nothing. Especially when you're looking at the liquidity pool, there's just nothing here. So just wanted to point that out. Anything else here for the Bytes holders? Market cap's going lower. All right, so moving on to the Bytes to Ethereum ratio. Pretty similar chart where we've just been going sideways over the past 6 days here. And just to update on my liquidity pool positions, I've had this higher range liquidity pool position, which really hasn't done, at the beginning it did very well. The APR was like 1,000 something. But obviously, since we're below that now, there's just no fees. So it went from, in the thousands to 184. So this will just continue to go down because, my total return won't change, but the APR goes down over time, right? So, I've made my return on my investment. I've made my zero point 0.2 ETH and my 121 bytes, right? So this is just kind of like my holding position here. And then we have this lower liquidity range, which has definitely been getting some more action, right? It's been able to catch some more of the volume here. And for that position, it's been uh, 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 16.5 days, so just over 2 weeks. APR is obviously looking pretty decent. And the total returned is 18%, not bad. I'm happy with this overall. It could have been better. So if I were to change anything, I would definitely change how aggressive I was with my buy position. So I did create a Chromatica limit order because I felt like, maybe we're starting to get a little bit more bullish with some support here. And really, if you look at this, this really isn't that even, like this particular support buy position that I made was essentially just a limit order. And really, I could have moved this lower, right? It could have been more symmetrical, where I could have predicted the fact that the support was going to be lower, right? And maybe instead of just a buy position, I could have just created a liquidity pool. And if I had a liquidity pool at this current price here, I would definitely be getting a lot more of this trading action and not being out of it like I am right now. Because right now I'm just out of my liquidity pool. So you can see my liquidity pool positions here. I've got these four ranges, which is my lower range, and I've got this higher range here. And then I had my kind of buy support here. So I could have maybe did a little bit more towards where I was here. So that was definitely a mistake. And that's okay. Just going to learn from that, learn to be a little bit more conservative and not be so aggressive with these buy orders. So, I'm at this point now where I think that I need to just basically restructure everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this pool. It's time. Gas is super cheap right now on Ethereum. So I want to take advantage of that and move some things around. So going to claim these fees. I'm going to go ahead and claim these fees as well, which will give me 400, 700, $1,400 of liquidity to basically I can go and create a new liquidity position here. So I'm gonna be closing this out here. Yeah, so what I can do is I can maybe make a little bit more wider range, and then I'll have some ETH that I can buy the dip. And just some sort of strategy like that. So I'll keep you guys updated on exactly what I do there, but ultimately the goal is I want to be um, as close to the middle of these price ranges, these ups and downs, as I can to get as much of the volume. So when we're looking at volume, obviously it's just super low right now, 20,000, 50,000. So the total amount of fees getting paid out, 290, 300. So for me, if I can try to get maybe like $100 a day, that's going to be my goal. So I've been patient trying to just let this play out, but now I'm going to start making some moves here to try to get some more of these fee revenues. So we'll keep you updated on that. So moving on to the Bytes token, or the blood token for the imposters. So um, we're at a very good value in my opinion. I was actually thinking we were at a good value all the way up at this 45 range. I felt like 54 is actually on the, so this is the blood to Ethereum, not the US dollar chart. So I feel like we were at a pretty good valuation here. So if you look at the market cap, only 15 million for a game that can be like gigantic like this can be. I think there's a lot of opportunity. So what's interesting is that we're finally starting to get some real price movement, some real I guess chartable patterns. So I did do a quick calculation. I didn't chart it out yet as far as drawing it out, but as far as a pivot chart, you can go back. It's been almost a week since we hit this low here, and we're back at this low. So if I were to chart this out, we would have a pivot at about 409 here. So basically this 4009, 441 area is kind of like going to be a magnet. And then I have the first support at 363 and then some support below at 3.3. So I think there's going to be some buying opportunities here, and I'm starting to get to the point where I might start to free up some liquidity and start to actually buy some blood tokens to trade. So I will keep you updated on that. Possibly even there might be an opportunity to liquidity pool as well to buy capital efficiently, but we'll see exactly how all that plays out. So just finishing up, we'll just finish quickly with the overall macro view. Bonds are holding in pretty steady here. Rates went down a little bit today, nothing too crazy. And really today, I was able to make some really good moves on my options trading and actually, and a little bit of leverage trading as well. So a few things that just kind of some trading rules that I look at. Um, Timing is very important. So um, like looking at the overall market, you really need to take into consideration like what's the downside and what's the upside. And that's what the role that pivots play is. I use these pivots as a calculation to see like what's my upside, what's my downside. So, this morning when I woke up, we had a nice little gap down in the market. You can see the S&P 500 just slightly down lower. And if you do the calculations from the complete high of the S&P 500 all the way down to the low, we're actually right at the 20% mark. Like it is actually like right here. So we're just almost at the 20% down mark for the entire market. So as a trader, coming in here and seeing that we had a little gap down and that we had this kind of room here to move higher and fill this gap, it was kind of like green light go. So, buying the dip here, selling option premium, and really Bitcoin and Ethereum kind of led this as well, where, I've been saying in my tweets and I've been saying for a while, this 29,700 is a very important line. And it's just the way that, markets and certain assets do. They have these numbers that they like to gravitate towards. So in particular, the number, the magnet I use for me is 29,700. So, when I woke up this morning, we kind of had this reverse head and shoulders here, and we just kind of had this opportunity we see momentum. We're below this, and it kind of acts as a spring, right? So, it was just an easy buy, easy go, because you can put on this trade long here and you have this easy stop loss right at the low of the day. So you put on the trade and then you have limited downside and maximum upside. So that's what I did, and I was able to make some nice profits in stocks and in crypto. So it's been working out really well, and really all we have to do is just watch this. It's very simple. You can be bullish now. You can basically you can buy now to 29.7, and then if we dip below 29,000, well, you have to take your stop losses, right? But if you look at what the upside is all the way back up to 34,000, 32. I mean, I don't really consider 32,000 really even much resistance. I think it's actually 34,000. So it's definitely going to depend on the overall markets, but yeah, that's just what I'm looking at here. So I am feeling very bullish right now for the first time in a while. So I've been waiting for this kind of this reversal. I was waiting for this capitulation to kind of play out, and I think it's played out. And I feel like there's starting to be some confidence in the market, and I feel like there's a lot of people short. And when there's a lot of people short, they're usually the firewood, they're the cement that we need to move higher, right? The profits need to come from somewhere. Somebody has to be on the other side of that trade. So that's what I'm looking at. And then for Ethereum, my bull bear line is actually 2,000, so it's a little bit higher. So best case scenario tomorrow morning, Friday morning, we have a nice little gap down in SP 500, maybe right about where we opened today, and we can kind of fill that gap higher. So that's what I'm going to be looking for, and I will keep you guys updated. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will catch you later.